and welcome to the Talkcast Podshow, the #1 show on the internet, and your #1 source for technical difficulties. I am your host, Lani, and I'm joined this week by Kaiser and Stephan. I don't have anything clever this week because we don't have a fucking topic.
No, we don't.
Not particularly.
I mean, like half year in review.
Yeah, I mean, we're halfway into this year, which is basically a year and a half into last year, which is kind of what I'm counting this as, because it all feels like one big continuation to me.
It feels like it was forever ago, and it also feels like it didn't happen. Like, 2020 just didn't happen.
Yeah, I've been getting this feeling like we delineate, like the delineation of years as you get older, no matter what, starts to just kind of fade into obscurity. Like the idea that a new year has started does not mean any goddamn thing to me at this point. Especially when we started off the year. I don't know how many people know about what happened in Texas in February, but holy shit, we got a huge freeze.
That was a heck of a way to start it. Power going out, people freezing, a lot of pipes bursting. I think Zito had to deal with that.
Ted Cruz almost had a pleasant vacation.
Almost had a pleasant vacation.
And
he got like a day of it.
And we robbed him of that.
We did.
We should feel bad.
We're so
high five, everybody!
Yeah,
way to go! We did it!
We're such selfish constituents. And now man, this is gonna turn into a political hour.
No, I'm sorry. Can we as a nation come together to fuck up every single one of Ted Cruz's vacations? I don't care about anything else at this point. Socialism, no, healthcare, fuck it. Fuck up every single one of Ted Cruz's vacations. That is what I'm running on. President 2024.
We here at Team 4-Star do not condone ruining vacations. We do, however, condone ruining Ted Cruz's vacations.
Yeah.
What we're trying to say is fuck Ted Cruz.
Yes.
And Greg Abbott, but that's another section entirely.
Never mind, we have a topic now. Fuck Greg Abbott.
All right. It's time to alienate
for real
me.
though, we started off with like a deep freeze, and now I'm dealing with the other end of the problem, where now we're in the middle of heat. Summer Texas, and my AC decided to die. So I'm dealing with like both ends of that and thinking to myself, which one was worse?
Oh my god. If I had to be honest with you, I would say that you are currently in the worst situation than...
Heat is always worse. You can only take off so many clothes, but you can always put on more layers when it's cold.
Yeah, I mean, can you just imagine this man laying naked on his bed, sweating constantly throughout the day? Actually, you know what? I'm gonna stop. Just gonna stop.
You decided to take that trip. You decided before you did that you were going to go that way.
Well, it's only because we have HR like right here.
He took that trip, but you know what? He's not entirely inaccurate. 2 nights ago, I went to sleep wearing my Fitbit. I woke up and I had a half hour of exercise logged because my heart rate had gone so high and I was tossing and turning all night. I had like 2.5 hours of good sleep, apparently.
I would like to point out that is really funny and terrifying at the same time. I'm only laughing because you're laughing, but that sounds horrible.
Look, man, I work hard. I work hard to stay in dad bod shape, okay? But yeah, I've actually been thinking about that, which one was worse. And on one hand, it's nice to have power. Even if, it's hot as hell, I can take my car, go out and do stuff, so...
That's true.
You take a little bit of the good with the bad, but at nights, it's goddamn miserable, I'll tell you that much.
Weirdly enough, so, look, I know everybody had to deal with the deep freeze in different ways. For me, I don't know if I could live in your situation, because during the deep freeze, I just got a bunch of blankets, curled up, and got some of the best sleep of my goddamn life. Now, I also woke up one morning seeing my breath. I don't want that again. But
you live in an apartment. It's nice and closed. I have a lot of big, open rooms in this house that I have, and it is drafty.
No.
And it got real cold in there.
Oh.
I needed to find every blanket I had and throw it on my bed just to get some sleep at night.
Have you at least been able to use the ice trick, the ice fan trick for the heat?
What I did the second night after the night where I logged exercise while I slept was I got a couple of cooling pads, just like little things that you put in like a lunchbox, wrap them up in a pillowcase and just kind of snuggled with them like a cold teddy bear.
Gotcha.
Unfortunately, I don't have enough ice or enough of those cold packs to, set them in front of a fan and actually have them do what is necessary.
Right.
I'm really glad that we started off this with the most interesting conversation. Hey, so how about that weather?
Yeah, how about that weather? It's very warm out there.
It's Texas. The world is dying. It's just how it is.
And fuck Ted Cruz.
Fuck Ted Cruz, who helps the world die. So,
Yeah.
it all wraps back around.
It all wraps up. But you know what? We are halfway into this year. And
I thought you were going to say this podcast.
it's about that time, folks. I'm just gonna... No, I'll stay here because, even this warehouse is better air conditioned than my home. So, just thinking back on the stuff that has happened so far this year, has there been anything that's come out or let's start with, say, movies that have come out? Because I've realized over the pandemic and throughout the post-pandemic that I hate movie theaters now, except for the Alamo Drafthouse, a unique experience. But when we went back to AMC, the first time, we saw Demon Slayer, the Mugen Train, there,
Yeah.
and it was fine, but I started thinking to myself, man, it was fucking great when I didn't have to go out somewhere, be told that I can't bring a bottle of water into a movie theater, and pay $30 to sit in a sticky seat.
I will say this. The pandemic, more than anything when it comes to movies, for me, taught me that there are some movies that I think are way, way better than maybe they actually are just because of the movie theater experience. Because I will watch a movie at home completely like it is a different experience entirely.
Oh, very much.
And it feels honestly less enjoyable. I don't think I like watching movies at home as much as I do on a big screen with the surround sound, with a big picture.
See, a lot of people like that. A lot of cinephiles particularly we have to say movie theaters. And I'm like, let them die. I like watching movies at home. I don't give a shit.
Look,
I don't think I'm a cinephile, though, but at the same time, I mean...
There is credence to what you're saying there, and one thing that comes to mind is there are some movies that I definitely want to see on a bigger screen. There are some movies where I think you actually get a little bit more out of it from the experience of actually going out with friends and being able to talk afterwards. But I'm sitting here thinking about some of the movies that I saw just on the screen at home, just flipping through my television on HBO since they were doing that direct release type thing, and thinking, would I really have enjoyed Mortal Kombat more if I went to a movie theater? Maybe.
That seems like a movie you catch on TV anyway.
Yeah. So. There are so many of these movies that came out this year. Maybe it's just the quality of films in general that are coming out, but I feel like so many of these movies that came out over this period are movies that I would have waited to watch on an airplane on a long flight.
Yeah. I remember watching Mortal Kombat thinking, man, a group together might have made this more enjoyable on a big screen. Genuinely. If only because just sitting there watching it on, and I was watching with somebody on Discord too.
Yeah, and same here. And I was enjoying it enough, and it was nice to be able to riff back and forth, which is, I feel like, the best way to enjoy that movie.
Yeah, that also helps. If we had seen that at, say, the Alamo Drafthouse, we would...
During, a rowdy screening or something.
I was going to say, if we'd seen that at the Alamo Drafthouse normally, we wouldn't have been able to riff, and that might have actually made it worse in that regard. It's tough. God knows that Dragon Ball Evolution was only enjoyable for me because I saw it several weeks after it had come out at an Edwards theater, drunk with a bunch of friends, and just laughed. I remember somebody got mad at me for laughing at parts I wasn't supposed to be laughing at, which honestly, when you see that movie, I don't think that's any part.
I've seen that movie probably more than anybody else alive because I wrote the riff track for us, the one that we recorded. I don't know if we still have the audio for that, but if we do, I want to drop another download link for that because I'm pretty proud of that. Also, it was 10 showings of that movie in my life of trying to write that thing out, so...
Yeah.
You're supposed to laugh at when he does the hair thing.
Yeah, and
his hair sticks up. He can't keep his hair down because of anime.
That was actually one of the only
cute moments
in that.
Yeah, you couldn't say funny.
Yeah,
it gets a ha out of you. That's about. Yeah, look at it. Yeah, they.
But yeah, I'll say as somebody who we saw Demon Slayer together in the theaters, but for me that wasn't necessarily. I didn't feel like that was my first real theatrical experience back to the theaters. I felt like that was.
Wallet felt it.
Oh god, yeah, but it was when I went to the Alamo Drafthouse in Denver to see Quiet Place Part 2.
Aw. How was that?
Fucking good!
Really?
Oh,
I have not been able to see it.
I will say, if you're a fan of Quiet Place Part 1, it is a very different movie in terms of where the first movie actively tried to not show you the monster as much as it could. The second movie is like, you've seen the monster. We're not going to hide the monster from you anymore.
Yeah, they kind of blew their load at the end of the movie where they actually like showed you the monster in detail in like daylight. So.
Yeah, and at this point they were like, okay, now we're going to tell a slightly different story. One about making tough choices, about like these very... They even show what has happened with humanity a little bit more. Like, whereas the first one you don't see almost anybody else, the second one has more people, more involvement. Like, it's very good.
What has human society become in this era where nobody can make noise?
Yeah, and also it is very focused on the kids. Like, and I really, really liked that.
I still have a very difficult time imagining just the situation in that world. We have sonic weaponry already, like stuff that exists, that would easily have fucked up all of those creatures.
Yep.
There is no way that invasion would have actually happened.
I thought you were going to say you have such a hard time imagining not making a lot of noise.
Oh, same. No, I'd be dead in a heartbeat in that situation. But
I think the bigger problem was like whether or not people knew to use them. But you would think you'd
think that they'd have enough time at some point, like. Did these things, maybe they give you this information in the sequel, maybe they just leave it to your imagination, but did they invade the Earth in such a capacity that it was entirely overwhelmed so quickly that the military had no time to strategize?
It doesn't feel like that, honestly.
Yeah.
Because, like, look, if you haven't seen the movie, this is the opening bit. It shows the meteor that has them on it coming down onto Earth. And it's in this one small town. God knows how quickly they spread, how bad it got, how quick.
Or if there were multiple meteors.
Yeah, who knows? But all I can say is, like, who knows whether or not there was the ability to actually come up with that technology before everything was overrun. But if there had been time, you might be right. Some scientists would have probably been like, wait, they use sonar? We can totally fuck them up like that. Or not sonar.
They use,
Yeah.
I feel like one of the things that you try once you know that they locate things by sound is trying different sound frequencies to either mask yourself or hurt them with it.
Yeah, you would think at some point, like, there's probably some military facility out there that's got one locked down, fucking SPC style, and it's like, or is it SCP? SCP style, and is like testing different things on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, I have no opinion on this subject.
You should.
You don't have an opinion on plot holes?
Wait, have you not seen the first one?
No, I'm not gonna watch it.
Oh,
It's not bad.
Really
it's honestly
good.
not bad.
I'm not gonna watch it.
Aw, damn.
I know the premise, and I'm like, okay, not interested. This
Damn.
is where I'm at.
It's a pretty alright monster movie, like just for my money.
It's in terms of how it's shot, it's so good.
I know you have a very different opinion when it comes to shot structure and things like that. So
Yeah, well, I'm sure it's fine, but like I just when I hear the subject matter, I'm just like, okay, that sounds something I'm not particularly.
Not your bread and butter.
Yeah, nah.
Anything that's come out this year that you have been like, oh, that's my jam?
A new Steven Soderbergh movie came out on HBO Max the other day, and I watched
Which
that.
one?
It's called No Sudden Move. It stars Don Cheadle, Benicio del Toro, Kieran Culkin,
Wow, all these
Brendan
names.
Fraser.
Wow. What?
Yeah,
Brendan Fraser's back?
yeah.
Good for him.
Oh.
And he's like it's just how he likes to live now. So he's like fat, and it's like, but he's Brendan Fraser, and
He doesn't need to be an action star anymore.
Yeah.
He did the. Were there 4 Mummy movies, or were there only 3?
There were 3 Mummy movies, 2 Scorpion King movies that featured The Rock, I think, and then other Scorpion King spin-offs.
Yeah,
No,
that had
might
like
just been
another
one with The
wrestler in
Rock.
it. Yeah, either way. So yeah, there were only 3. Okay, I was trying to remember. Did
Technically,
they bring in a
third,
4th?
the third one is the one
Technically-
with Michelle Yeoh, and
Yeah,
also
that-
they replaced Rachel Weisz as Evie, and I've been pissed.
That's
ever
right.
Since.
That funny story. That's actually the movie that I met my ex at. So
Nice.
Yeah.
Well, not nice because they replaced Rachel Weisz as Evie.
How
You
dare!
can't do that.
Also, they completely misused Michelle Yeoh. They had a great chance because they were trying to do like some kung fu stuff with it too.
Yeah,
but
it's
they
like Chinese
completely,
mummies. And it's like,
but they
okay,
completely wasted
this
the
Yeti's in
potential
it.
of that because they had like 2 really great female martial artists in that movie and just squandered it.
But hey, Michelle Yeoh's getting cast in a lot of stuff lately. She got cast in the MCU twice now.
Yeah.
They just show her face both times. They don't care. They're like, no, it's Michelle Yeoh. She gets to show up twice. It's like, fuck yeah, I'm all for that.
So how was the Soderbergh movie? Like, what's the premise?
The premise is that these criminals for hire are doing a job where they have to hold some folks hostage, and it goes wrong, and then there's a movie. I wouldn't want to give up anything after that.
All right.
But I really enjoyed it. Some folks had some filmmaking folks had opinions on the lens choice in the movie. They use a very wide lens for the entire movie.
Well, I mean, it's hard to have a poorer lens choice than Zack Snyder had in Army of the Dead with the dead pixels in it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I've not seen that movie.
I don't necessarily recommend it. It was okay. For like action schlock that's very paint by numbers. Mm-hmm. And they added, they completely replaced an entire actor with green screen Tig Notaro.
I really want to see how that looks.
Apparently it wasn't too bad.
It doesn't look bad. Honestly, if you didn't know, and you weren't like looking for, they're green screened in, you probably wouldn't be able to tell.
Okay. And also in general, Tig Notaro is probably a step up from the guy that they needed to replace because he sucks.
No, Tig was great. Like honestly, it felt like they were ad-libbing all of their part in the movie, and it fit in perfectly for the kind of stuff that they were doing. And Batista honestly wasn't bad. Like he was actually pretty good. Like, he's a pretty good actor.
He's become a good actor. Like apparently, like for Guardians of the Galaxy, he like took acting classes. He took it very seriously.
Yeah.
And he ended up being a highlight of that first movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he got into, he had like a non-speaking role in the, was it not Skyfall, but the Spectre, James Bond movie. Then he did.
I forgot that he was in Spectre because I only watched Spectre once because it sucks.
It's not great. I only saw it once too, and yeah, Dave Bautista is just like the big thug minion and doesn't really do much. But
it's me, James. I'm the author of all your pain.
Yeah. And then he was he pulled a Vin Diesel / Dwayne The Rock Johnson by doing that like kid buddy cop movie.
Right.
I didn't see it, but I'm sure it was purely all right.
He did that movie with Kumail Nanjiani.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, he's been doing all right. Army of the Dead. Yeah, I don't know. It's okay. Maybe if you have like a bunch of spare time and you really want to waste it, go for it.
So not for me.
Not particularly.
A person who has never enjoyed a single Zack Snyder film. So
Guardians of the Who.
I actually haven't seen that one.
I'm just saying I enjoyed that one.
It's the best one I've seen of his,
actually,
but I don't like it still.
Hold on. Actually, look, I was young enough. 300 was really cool when I was younger. I was all about that shit when I was younger.
I saw that movie a lot in theaters. Like all of my friends in high school fucking loved it.
Yeah.
It's hard not to when you're that age too. And I have not gone back and re-seen it. But I'm sure there'll still be parts where I go, hell yeah! Like that soundtrack still.
I first watched it like after he made Watchmen. So like, and I was like, this movie kind of sucks actually.
You know what? That's interesting. I saw 300, then I heard he was doing Watchmen, and I got kind of worried because 300 and Watchmen are insanely different films, and yet in a lot of ways he treats them too similarly.
Yeah, I'm one of the people who thinks the Watchmen movie just fucking sucks.
Oh yeah, no.
You're probably in the majority there. See, I watched Watchmen before I read Watchmen, which I think helped my enjoyment of my.
That definitely helps.
Yes.
I read it first.
So I enjoyed what was done in there. I will defend the schlockiness of it just as schlock because I can enjoy schlock. I liked Wolverine, X-Men Origins, so take that with every grain of salt you can muster.
That's a lot of salt.
It's a lot of salt.
You know, I want to return to the subject of reflecting on the year, but real quick, I will say it was actually oh shoot, I forget what they're called. They're a channel. They do a lot of psychological videos on media.
Wisecrack.
Thank you. Wow. Yeah, Wisecrack actually did a whole thing about Watchmen. Dumb or smart. Basically, hey, are the themes in this film? Basically, it was a full review on whether or not
of
it
the
actually.
Film?
Oh yeah, of the film on
Okay.
whether or not Zack Snyder's Watchmen was actually deeper dumb. It was deeper dumb. That was it.
That's a series.
And it was actually really interesting because they talk about the fact that the film tries to take an approach on superhero films where the comic was an approach on superhero comics. So a lot of the things that it does in the film are supposed to be, like takes on that, satire on that.
It was very much doing what shows like The Boys and things like that are doing these days. Much better, but it was an attempt at something like that.
Yeah, the problem is just that Zack Snyder likes the aesthetics of intellectualism, but he doesn't like actually thinking too hard about these things.
It does sort of feel like, well, I truly believe that he himself is not stupid or shallow. He's
not very interested in like exploring ideas.
Not in these sorts of films, and not in a way that speaks like say on the level of Alan Moore, where he wants to tell like these sell things through imagery and music and these big grandiose moments.
And his comic strips are like really long.
Yeah, but yeah, so I thought that was interesting. I still don't like the movie, and I'm still not a fan of Zack Snyder's films. I've actually come around on the guy a little bit more as time has gone on.
He seems to be chilling out a bit.
Yeah,
he's a guy that I feel like I can't really judge because I don't know him. I
Oh,
know
yeah.
I know enough
Apparently
about
he's a joy to work
Yeah,
with,
I know
and
enough
that's
about the
something.
people that work with
Yeah.
him who said stuff about him to say like he's probably a fine guy.
Yeah, I like him. Like people compare him to Michael Bay a lot, but you know what? People fucking hate working with Michael Bay and they like working with Zack Snyder. So
Yeah.
one is inherently better.
yeah. Look, as a guy who has actively bitched about Zack Snyder in the past, he is not Michael Bay.
No.
But anyway, so I watched Mitchell's vs. the Machines this year.
I still have not watched it. And
I have
should
not either.
I know I should have watched it.
There are a lot of look. You haven't watched Army of the Dead. You don't. I can't say it.
No, I know Mitchell's vs. the Machine. It's the new Lord and Miller movie. Everyone raves about it. Kids and adults both love it equally. Like I know I'll watch it and I'll love it, but I haven't gotten around to it.
Every time I sit down and say like I'm gonna watch this, something comes up where it's like I don't know if I can dedicate my attention to this right now.
Honestly, I can't wait for you to watch it, but I am also curious because I think you might not like it.
Oh.
I think I'll probably like it, honestly. I haven't disliked the Lord and Miller thing yet.
It is very, very hyperactive. It's to the point where it makes Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse like feel tame in comparison. It is that hyperactive, that fast.
How does it compare to Lego Movie, which was very fast and active?
Faster and faster and more active than that.
Faster and more furious.
It seems like it's about on par with like Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs.
Okay. And I like that one.
Like, yeah, if it like downed a bunch of fucking what are those called? The dippet things with the sugar.
Dunkaroos, dipsticks.
Dipsticks, yeah. If it,
What do you call it? Those sticks that you dip
Yeah.
in the
yeah.
sugar.
Yeah, fucking just downed like 5 packets of dipsticks.
Yeah, I mean, it all depends on like what the movie's doing, and like sometimes it won't be my favorite thing, but it doesn't mean I'll inherently dislike it.
Side tangent. Do they still sell dipsticks?
Yes.
Really?
Also, I should point out that I made it sound like I don't like the movie. I really liked the movie. I will say.
You just know I can sometimes have a low tolerance for annoying things.
Yeah, and like my biggest.
How do you work here?
I manage.
Okay.
I do it.
Mitchell's versus the Machines. It's very good. And also, just put Maya Rudolph in everything. Please put Maya Rudolph in everything. She was one of my favorite parts of fucking Luca, and she's barely in it.
Okay, that's something we have both seen. Have you seen Luca?
I have not seen Luca either.
Luca is okay.
Luca is okay.
It is absolutely okay.
I actually gave it a very solid 8 out of 10.
I would have said like 7.5. Like I think it's very middle of the road Pixar for me. Like nowhere near WALL-E or Up or anything. But
When was the last time I watched a Disney or Pixar movie? I think it was Frozen 2.
Ew.
I think that's the last time I watched a single Disney or Pixar film.
I think I've seen. Oh yeah, I saw it when they dropped it on Disney Plus.
I think I've gotten just really burned out on. Luca looks a little better to me because at least the
Luca's-
art style has changed.
Yeah, Luca is. I mean, first of all, it's Pixar and not Disney. I mean, I know they mix the two studios a lot
They're
these
kind
days,
of doing the same shit now.
but I still feel like Pixar has a bit more autonomy. Like they use the Pixar label for a little bit more of their original stuff, so to speak. Luca, it's very pretty. I think they like the story they want to tell is very cute. It's very wholesome. They do have those quality like single tear in your eye kind of Pixar moments. But
I've seen some people discuss that it might be like sort of a stealth gay kid movie.
Actually,
maybe
like very
there's arguments for like trans/gay, but I don't know.
I'll say this:
it's a very rough allegory if it is.
Yeah, I'll say this. I can see it being an allegory for like they can't fit in, they can't be themselves in public without people. Like,
you can't
but
play
they
in
could
our
just make
sport.
a text
You
at this point.
Yeah,
Like,
you can't play in our sporting competition.
I think you could absolutely make that allegory. The people thinking
But it's not
that
very blatant.
Yeah, as somebody who watched it and like I was actually expecting like, oh, maybe it will be a subtext for romance. It's not. It's super not.
No.
Like,
it looked like it might have been. Like,
It could have been, and I feel like if
Maybe
they
at some point it
maybe
was.
maybe in one of the drafts of the script it was potentially, but a lot of that seems toned down to the point that it at very best serves as a very rough allegory.
Yeah.
I'd say the worst thing in that movie, which I think is solid, and I think it's worth it's a solid family picture that I think is worth watching, especially if you have kids. Or are just a very bored 30-something. And I think the biggest detractor for me is just, and this is with a lot of Disney movies, the third act, the payoff that they want, they like, oh, I guess we all just accept this now, and here you go, like, everybody's happy. Instantly. Like, bam, that.
Yeah.
There's a conflict, and then solved with a few words.
I will say, that was like the film. It's a very comfortable, comfy, sweet film set with a great location.
Charming atmosphere.
Beautiful atmosphere, great characters.
It's a movie that I think if I did see it on the big screen, I would have enjoyed it more because of how visually pleasing the movie is.
I also have to say that, like, this film felt like it would have been amazing on the big screen, whereas at home, I was enjoying it, and I still saw some of that visual splendor. But that's also another thing. Like, there are some things that you just don't see when you're looking at, like, a fucking computer screen as opposed to like a big TV or an actual theater screen.
Yeah, I was watching it on my living room television, which is nice, large television, looks very pretty on it, but you do lose, like, you get the whole picture, but you do lose something from that experience. And while I don't think that ruins the movie by any extent, I do think it would have elevated it slightly. Still, solid 7.5 movie.
Yeah.
Solid. It's all right. Pretty all right. I didn't see Soul, though. I meant to sit down and watch it. Like, I heard a bit of buzz about it when it came out. Maybe.
Yeah, damn it. I wish there was
I'm
a
not
part
sure we
of,
want to get into like how deep the controversy is.
There's a part of the film that got spoiled for me that actually actively made it difficult for me to watch.
So none of us have watched it.
I know.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah,
Then, we won't talk about it.
Well, the problem was it was one of the first films that came out that was from is it Pixar or Disney?
It's Pixar.
Yeah. Okay, it was Pixar's first film that came directly to Disney Plus, and I didn't have anyone to watch it with, and I just genuinely don't like watching movies alone. I just hate watching movies alone. I can watch a TV show alone, not a movie. And so and nobody I knew wanted to watch Soul, so I just never got around to saying it.
I had that thing where like I was watching the trailer for Soul, and I was like, oh wow, like all this jazz stuff in New York. This looks like a different, like, mature movie for Pixar. I'm really excited for this, and it does the little thing where he's a little guy, and like, you guys did that again?
Yeah,
You turned the your black lead into like a little thing again?
There's also that. There's also the fact that
it's the third time.
It felt like it felt very Inside Out, which I really enjoyed, but I haven't seen it.
It feels like they've touched that already.
Yeah, I'll watch it at some point, I'm sure, just because I'm a Disney-phile, but
honestly, when the only reason I think I haven't watched it is that
you haven't had anybody to watch it with.
That and I don't know. It looks cute. It looks fun, but I don't know. You're right.
It sounds
feels
messy
like,
from what I've heard people say.
Yeah, I'll probably end up seeing it sooner or later though. Mostly just because when it comes, one of my favorite fucking mediums for entertainment is animation, and so I don't want to miss a Pixar film. But
yeah, I used to be one of those people that actually would pay attention during the Best Animated Feature during the Oscars when those mattered. Do they, like, I guess they still do in the industry, but
didn't they make that largely because Beauty and the Beast won
Best Picture?
Best Picture, and they're like, well, not that again. That's not happening.
We can't have this. We need proper films.
We'll recognize your cartoons as art, but it'll go in its own little art box.
Now we're having
away from the other art.
Now we're having issues with horror movies because I mean, god damn, if Hereditary didn't deserve something. Hereditary is so good. Toni Collette was so good in that.
Did Get Out get nominated?
I can't remember. It might have.
I think it did.
It seems like it would have.
Probably.
But
largely because that wasn't a horror movie. That was a thriller.
Yeah. Well, and also I guess the question of, does a horror movie need to be about some big hot topic issue for it to be valuable as art is a question as well.
That does feel like what the Academy is usually looking for.
The Academy is full of hacks?
It's either something that jerks off Hollywood or something of historical significance that's really sad.
Oh, The Artist.
Yeah.
Remember The Artist?
The Artist. Oh, La La Land.
Yeah, this is why...
When La La Land won over Moana for Best Song, I was so pissed.
That was so ridiculous.
Because that song sucks.
This is why, when it comes to like reward shows in general, award shows in general, 90% of them, 95% of them, total complete garbage. They're pointless because all they are the subjective opinions of a bunch of people who may or may not represent the whole.
And not to mention, you need a massive, like, multi-million-dollar marketing campaign just for them to be like, okay, we'll consider you.
Yeah,
and like certain categories like sound editing, normal editing, and sound mixing, they just pick something.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they just look at that and go, I guess that sounded good. Oh yeah, Star Wars, that blasted my ears out.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they just pick either a sci-fi movie for sound editing or sound mixing,
just to throw the ring,
or a movie about sound in some way, like
yes.
a music biopic or something.
And same for special effects. A lot of the time, special effects, and usually there's
Give
a
it
bit
to the
more
big
credibility
budget
going
movie.
into that because this you can actually tell the visual fidelity, the amount of technology they used for this. Okay, I'll throw it in at that.
Remember fucking Suicide Squad? One for makeup. Again, now I wouldn't mind, but it was against Star Trek Beyond that year, I believe.
Maybe.
Which Star Trek Beyond had some of the best alien makeup I've seen in a movie in a long time.
Killer Croc looked pretty good in Suicide Squad. I know a few people that worked on that movie actually.
He looked fine, but like there was like a bunch, like some really cool alien designs in Star Trek Beyond, and like it deserved the win, but they didn't care.
Yeah, I don't know. That's the Academy for you, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here and just I don't know. There's I think like the next movie that's really coming out is like what, Black Widow here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's coming out this Friday.
Man, wow! I didn't even realize it was that soon.
I'm seeing
I'm not excited for it.
Do you want to? No, you can't. I'm seeing it Friday or Saturday.
I'm getting my AC fixed this weekend, but is it also going to be on like Disney Plus on demand?
No, see.
I'm not watching it then.
The thing that makes me angry is that if you told me there was a Black Widow film coming out
Before she died,
goddamn years ago, I'd have been like, oh fuck, we're finally getting a Black Widow movie. Yeah. She's dead! They killed her!
Well, let's see how Loki finishes and see what happens to the timelines.
Like Scarlett Johansson already said, this is the last time we're seeing the character.
Oh,
she said that in an interview.
So then they're making apparently there's a Hawkeye movie in the works.
Show.
Oh. There's a Hawkeye show in the works.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. Marvel is weird right now. I mean, we can do a quick Loki check-in because, have you guys seen the latest episode, episode 5?
I haven't seen today's episode.
Okay.
I apologize. Although I will say, the last episode after the review we did was also very good.
It's a fun show.
I like this show. This is,
WandaVision. It's not afraid to be bonkers, and I like that.
WandaVision, I really liked almost all of WandaVision. Yeah, I think it fumbled a little bit at the end, but generally still, that show was an 8 out of 10 for me.
It was doing interesting stuff, and I appreciate that.
I would have given WandaVision a solid B+ throughout, probably closer to an A at the beginning.
Yeah.
Falcon Winter Soldier.
I was enjoying it, but then
a C+.
If it hadn't fumbled the ending, it might have been a B- for me.
It just felt like more of the same, you go from WandaVision, which was more high concept, which is shit that I love.
Yeah.
And then you go to Falcon Winter Soldier, which is, okay, this is Marvel, and I know they can't be dealing with weird cosmic stuff.
It felt like basic bitch Marvel. It felt like basic bitch Marvel with a couple of actually really interesting things to talk about that I'm really glad that they did.
And a few good action pieces.
Oh, yeah. I thought the action was pretty good. Probably
the best Falcon sequence in the beginning of the show.
Yeah, by the way, I gotta say this. I gotta say this publicly somehow. Holy shit, the fight scenes in Loki are really super bad. Holy shit.
I don't think
serviceable.
Hiddleston was never meant to do that.
But regardless, that was awful. That was some of the worst fight scenes I've seen ever. The fight where they go up against the guards, I couldn't tell what the fuck was going on. They kept cutting away, they didn't follow through on any of the action.
I feel like they didn't have a lot of actors there that were able to do the stuff that they wanted to do, so they just had to cut around it.
Honestly, if the show focused on action more, I'd probably be more upset about it.
But
as
that's
it is,
not
I'm
their
just like,
focus.
it does its job.
I know, it's just, I had to get that out because I've been sitting on that for so long.
Yeah.
Because the rest of the film, the rest of the show is like A for me. Like,
Yeah.
I am really into this show.
Loki has been
super.
really solid. I think you'll really like today's episode. It has a lot of comic Easter eggs in it. Like
Okay.
a lot of comic universe Easter eggs. I am sure there are going to be a lot of red circle videos on YouTube
Oh, yeah.
out there for this one.
I'm super excited, actually. Funny enough, Quinn was like actually eager to hear if I had seen today's, and so I'm after this, I'll go and watch it, and then I'll probably geek out.
It's a fun one. It ends a bit suddenly, but I think it's good.
It's not a bad ending, though.
This show is all about ending suddenly.
Yeah, but in this case, it's more of a it's less of a oh shit kind of cliffhanger and more of a oh come on kind of cliffhanger.
Gotcha.
But yeah, I'm enjoying it. I did want to mention one other movie. I think I've only seen 2 movies this year from this year, and that is the No Sudden Move on HBO Max, and I watched Nobody. What's his name? Saul Goodman.
Oh yeah, Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah, the Bob Odenkirk like John Wick-y movie.
That has been on my list. Is it worth watching?
It's worth watching. Yeah.
Okay.
Like the thematic stuff is a little weird, but like it's not meant to be one you think too hard about. It's a fun little movie. Christopher Lloyd, like for a minute you're like, oh, is Christopher Lloyd like fading? That's really sad. Then you're like, oh no, he's still in it. He's great.
Oh great.
He's old, but he's lively.
Christopher Lloyd is so strange to me because fun fact,
He's been old since before I was born.
He's been old since before he was young.
Yeah.
I watched.
He was in Taxi, and he was old in Taxi,
Yeah.
even though he was playing a younger character.
I watched all 3 Back to the Future movies for the first time this year. I'd never actually seen them before.
And it feels like Doc Brown is always just a weird age of like.
I found
It's
it
so
really
nebulous. He feels like the fact that they
He feels almost unaging.
Yeah, the fact that they kind of base Rick off of him makes so much sense because it's just like this unaging.
Is he
Tech
is he
guy.
40? Is he 80? Who knows?
What's his deal?
Well, and that's why in the second movie, fucking movie, he was wearing makeup in the first film to make him older.
And then they didn't bother because it didn't even show up anyway.
Well, in the second film, he's like, by the way, I de-aged myself, and then he takes it off, and yeah, he does look a little bit younger, but it's still like, if you hadn't taken that off, I don't know if
I don't think I'd noticed. Yeah,
What year was it that they went to in the second movie? 2020? Like, was it 2020?
2020, I think.
It was
2015, I think.
I think it was actually
God,
somewhere.
it was a few years ago that they went to. He could have been there he could have ran into himself and he would have been the same age anyway.
It's really funny. I honestly, I love when movies show the future. It's always so good. It's never right.
I'd love to
close
do like
right.
something set in the future that is one of those like decrepit. I mean, I love that like the I didn't play it, but like the Alien Isolation video game stuck with like the 70s.
The weird like neo future
analog. I
like
analog. I like analog futures. They're fun.
Which is one thing that I really like about that neo postmodern thing that Loki has going on.
Yeah.
Like that they have that analog technology, but they can actually like throw out holograms and things like that. They have the little pocket time. I forget what the hell they call them, but like they're little time traveling
Templates.
pocket devices. But they're still analog and their screens are pixelized.
Yeah, like the video is like an old.
But you can like zoom in on it and get like incredible detail. Just like
Yeah, I love that shit. I like to see like again something as big as Marvel like just doing that silly stuff.
Yeah, and it's why I think Loki is a breath of fresh air that might actually boost Black Widow a bit, because I feel like even though we haven't gotten Marvel movies in a bit, we're still like just a flood of it. Like because you had WandaVision, and then like almost a couple weeks later, Falcon and Winter Soldier. And then, about a month after that, you had Loki. So you're still getting this deluge of content. Consume the content. And now Black Widow's coming out, and I didn't even realize it was coming out on Friday.
Yeah, I'm gonna see it. I'm also gonna see Shang-Chi.
That one looks fun.
That one I'm actually intrigued by. again, I also kind of like dig the wuxia kind of martial arts movies.
And again,
So.
Bill Pope, the cinematographer for the Matrix movies, and I believe Crouching Tiger.
And they're bringing back the Abomination, which hasn't shown up since the Incredible Hulk movie.
Yeah, they show the Abomination fighting Wong in the trailer, and that's great.
Am I wrong in that the villain is the Mandarin?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's the actual Mandarin.
Yeah.
The one that
real-
is alluded to in a short that was released on like the Iron Man 3.
Yeah, the one that
DVD
they
and Blu-ray?
based their like shadow terrorist on, basically.
Yeah, basically like he killed off Trevor in Iron Man 3. Like had him assassinated for basically insulting him by pretending to be him.
But the what was I gonna say? Shang-Chi, yeah, I'll see it. Like I literally never heard of Shang-Chi before Marvel announced that the film was coming out.
Apparently, by the way, that name sucks to Chinese people.
Really?
Please pick a different name. Apparently, it sounds like fart, kinda.
Oh.
Sounds like alluding to a fart.
I'd heard the name before, but whenever you think, martial arts and Marvel, typically you go Iron Fist, but that's problematic because it's a white guy.
Well, I mean, no, it's problematic because Iron Fist sucked.
Oh, it was that. Yeah, the Netflix show just took a massive dump.
And honestly, like, I don't think the politics on that aside, like, yeah, if you're actually going to try and diverse your cast, you don't want to go with Iron Fist. Shang-Chi is like interesting. Like after looking up a bit of his stuff, again, a lot of this stuff is a lot of like childhood nostalgia. Mm-hmm. So I'm not exceptionally excited, but if the film's good, I'm more than excited to see it. The only thing that I took away from it though that I didn't like actually was like, why did you need to put Awkwafina in here? Why is Awkwafina in here? I feel like every film that's come out from an American studio that's
it seems like everybody cast her at once and didn't realize everyone else was casting her already.
Yeah,
they all expect like, hey, this is the fresh new thing. Like, and then
I kind of feel bad that she's getting so overexposed because it's going to hurt her in a way that maybe she doesn't deserve.
Yeah. I'd like to point out, Awkwafina, fantastic actress,
I like her.
Incredibly funny. I've never seen a part with her that I didn't like, but I won't lie. When I saw her in Raya, I was like, oh, she's like she's like the genie character, only she's not as emotionally relevant. Oh no.
Apparently she has a show that she created that is good according to Marcus Went.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you end up like putting somebody out there and like so many things at once. You overexpose them, and I don't know. Hopefully, like something will stick, and like she's really good.
Yeah.
I really liked her in like before everyone was casting her and everything. I really liked her in Ocean's 8. Like that was a fun.
Oh God, yeah, that was.
I need to see the Ocean's films. Apparently, those are really good.
They are really good. Yes,
they're
all
better
on HBO
than
Max.
you think.
Every single one is on HBO Max. You can just go watch them there.
Yeah.
And I love those movies. I have actually, for a while, I've been rewatching them like every year.
I know Rick and Morty took like a big shit on the heist
but
genre,
they're wrong.
but
They're wrong.
heist movies are fun. Another thing that kind of came out this year, part 2 of Lupin.
The TV show?
Yes, the French television show
interested.
Lupin. It's really fun. I mean, it has like a lot of that heist dynamic, but I mean, it's based on a guy that's trying to mimic Arsène Lupin. You know?
I'm actually kind of curious. Did they say Lupin or Lupin?
Lupin.
Oh, neat. Okay.
It's French.
Yeah,
So-
I mean, I wasn't sure, like, the fucking Lupin from Harry Potter was said Lupin, and I was like, they're gonna go that.
That's British.
Yeah, it's.
They know more French than most of us.
I watch it like with the original French dialogue, 'cause I'm that kind of snob. I watch things in its native language with subs.
Okay, so it was in French.
Yes,
No,
it's a French show.
Okay, well that's fine.
Yeah.
That's like that would be kind of like playing Ghost of Tsushima, and then being like, I only watch it in the Japanese, and I'm like,
that doesn't quite work out because the game was originally dubbed in English.
Yeah.
and then
Yeah,
translated
that
to Japanese.
one, I thought about it for a second. I was like, no, but it's gonna be weird if I do that.
I tried switching it over to Japanese because I thought that's how it was originally done. It's like, oh no, these lips don't match up at all. This is weird.
I will say the new cut of the game that's coming out, the re-release,
they did fix that. They added in Japanese.
Well, and
lip
apparently the
flaps.
Japanese audience actually really loved Ghost of Tsushima. So they're maybe put in a little bit more effort for them now.
It makes sense, especially when you had, oh god, I feel really bad. I can't remember the name of the voice actor, but they had Zoro's voice actor, the main guy, which he's so memorable.
I liked that guy. Like Ghost of Tsushima as a game to me is fine. It's too long. Like most games, it's too long. But
They need
I like
to pad
that
it
guy.
out. If you're gonna pay $60 for something, not everybody has the money to, shell it out like every month. So.
But I read an article that about how the Japanese audience was receiving it, and like apparently everyone was like really worried, like, okay, Western studio, they're gonna fuck it up, they're gonna mess up our culture somehow, and then apparently they were like, no, it actually was pretty good overall.
Yeah, I had a long talk with Gaijin Goomba on that very subject. You can find that episode somewhere in the playlist.
It's sort of funny what happens when you bring a bunch of people who are experts on the culture onto your production to make sure that you keep things appropriate.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful game. I can't wait for the director's cut. It's one of my
Maybe that's when I'll play it.
It was easily one of my favorite games last year.
Yeah,
So.
I haven't played it yet, mostly just because is it on the PC?
No, it's PS4.
Yeah, unfortunately, my life has been, if I play a game on the PC, it's usually going to be one that I can do in like short chunks, like on multiplayer, like Knockout City. I've been playing a lot of that lately. And if it's a like long running game, I try to let's play it or like do a stream because that's my life apparently.
It's just a way, like, honestly, I find more enjoyment just being able to share my experience with other people. That's why I stream. There's some games where I'll sit back and like, no, this is just me time. But those are typically very monotonous games where you're just doing little things at a time, like Civilization or certain roguelike games where
Right.
you're not necessarily super involved in the story, but...
I tried to make Disco Elysium one that I streamed. That wasn't...
It's
That
a
seems like a
very
very
long,
personal game.
in-depth
It is a
game.
very personal game. One that is like, I started to stream that one. I'm like, maybe not.
I did
What
the
kind of
exact
cock did you end up being?
Oh, the sorry one.
I was
I was
sorry,
very
cop.
sorry. I was a very sorry cop.
Hobo Cop for life!
Yeah, I devolved into Sorry Cop really fast.
Yep.
I just remember, like, I did stream it for a little while. I remember spinning back kicking a racist in the face despite my physical attributes being really low, but I like got a critical success on it. So I'm like, ha! I beat the strongest guy in town with a spinning back kick.
I bet I know who that is too.
Oh yeah, the big guy standing on the wall at the beginning.
Yeah.
I just like, you know what?
The right-
in for a penny. The thing I love about that game is that even if you fail, you're still moving forward in the story.
Yep.
You'll eventually hit an end point if you fail too much, but you can fail and move
if you
forward.
reach for your tie in the beginning.
Yeah.
That was weird.
It's such a fun game, but it is a difficult one to stream all the way through while staying invested, because there's a lot of moments where you just kind of got to go quiet and be like, what is happening here? Like,
Yeah,
what
no,
is-
And it seems like a game with like, because it, like the developers are from Eastern Europe. I could be wrong about that.
I wouldn't know.
But like, they seem to have very complicated feelings on socialism and communism in their game. Like, where like they seem to like a lot of the ideas, but also hate a lot of ways that things are implemented.
It's a very morally gray game on purpose.
It seems like they have very complicated feelings, and that they put it into the game.
because it has a lot of history with a lot of the concepts that it's talking about. They have a long sorted history with socialism, communism, capitalism, all like feudalism. There's so much going into the writing for that game that comes from a long history of
Political upheavals, like
and so that's why the game isn't so. It is not clean cut. It is not an endorsement of necessarily any particular idea.
It's hard to say that there's a good ending.
Yeah, and that's why I find it really interesting and like hard to play through, because as I was playing through it,
it's hard to believe that there's any way to make the world better while playing that game.
a little bit.
Every time you finish something in that game, it feels like something just gets a little bit worse.
Yeah.
Either your life or the people around you. It's like something has gone wrong.
Yeah.
But that's also what makes it great. So, art, controversial, etc. It reminds me a lot of a... there was a game that came out a few years back that I absolutely adored, despite how amazingly depressing it was, called This War of Mine, where you're playing as a group of survivors in a war-torn country, like currently under siege, and you just have to survive, and you have to keep people from killing themselves and fed. So it's a struggle of a game.
And it seems like one of those games where, like, similar, like This War of Mine and Papers, Please are very similar in that I think they both kind of try to express an idea that is stated outright in the movie Parasite, which is rich people can afford to be good people, and poor people can't afford to be good people sometimes. and like putting you in that position in a very extreme way in those two games.
I remember hearing it said that like if you're rich, as long as you can afford the fine, nothing is illegal.
Oh yeah, there was an amazing
like you can park in a handicapped spot. Okay, $500, whatever.
Yeah,
there's an amazing quote. I think it's literally from Final Fantasy fucking Tactics. I think this line is from, and it's just this character that says, "A law where the punishment is money is only enforceable on the poor."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, like, if there's a fine, that's why I think it was Finland that did this amazing thing. Guess what? In Finland, I believe that they do this there. I've read up on this. If you speed, the amount that you are fined for is proportional to your income.
Wow.
That's good. That's
Yep. Which, yeah.
that fixes the problem.
That fixes the fucking problem. It absolutely does.
At the very least, it makes the punishment equitable.
Yeah. Because at that point, it's like, if you are a rich motherfucker, you can go 70 and a 40 without any fucking worry, because you get pulled over and it's like, oh, well, that's going to be a $400 ticket. But if $400 is something you made within the time that that officer pulled you over and gave you that ticket, what does that matter?
Yeah.
So yeah, no, that was I think that is, mwah.
It certainly would solve a number of things, but oh boy, that's a tough law to pass.
Oh yeah, like, because then you're gonna get some guy who's like, I had a $5,000 speeding ticket. This is ridiculous, and it's like, hey man, then like take it up with the law, all right?
When you mentioned Final Fantasy, I was like, Final Fantasy are surprisingly political games in my head, which brought me to Final Fantasy 7 Remake, which brought me to Intergrade. How was that, Nick?
It's pretty all right. It's honestly, I still think Tifa is my favorite character to play as in terms of like their combo and like attack rotation.
Absolutely.
But Yuffie is pretty solid. The game itself, like after not playing Final Fantasy 7 Remake for approximately like 9 months at that point, or a year, you pick it back up. I got killed by the starting dog enemy a few times, which really humbling. But once you kind of get a handle for her techniques and what she does, it is a very fun system that is still really good. And it's weird. This is kind of a semi-spoiler for anybody that hasn't played or know anything about Final Fantasy VII like the original. But after you complete Yuffie's adventure, which I won't spoil anything about what happens there.
Yeah, because I know nothing.
Yeah. What happens afterwards is they start up the second disc of the game. Like they give you this whole the party is traveling to the town that you're going to end up starting in part 2 of
so
the
you actually
remake.
get a little bit of a nugget.
Yeah, you're getting some of the main cast story as Yuffie's finishing up her stuff in Midgard.
That's cool.
Also, Fort Condor, the little mini game that they added in for this, which is basically Fort Condor from the Final Fantasy VII original. Really fun mini game. I had a lot more fun just trying to be the king of Fort Condor, or queen in Yuffie's case, than I expected. I ended up going out of my way to make sure I completed that quest line.
Nice.
I don't have a PS5, so I can't play it.
Yeah, ditto.
Yeah, it is very unfortunate. I hope, apparently they're trying to do some stuff like some sort of stimulus within the government to get semiconductors back up and running, so maybe we'll be able to get consoles and graphics cards.
The graphics cards would be really nice.
I'd
I'd love to have a computer again.
Yeah. Being able to upgrade a computer would be nice.
There's a reason I kind of hate cryptocurrency.
Oh, there's plenty of reason to hate cryptocurrency.
There's plenty of reason to hate cryptocurrency.
So glad it's crashing.
Yeah, but the fact that people got away with this shit for as long as they did, woo, man, that makes me so fucking nihilistic. Misanthropic, holy fuck. Like, the fact that a lot of people weren't able to upgrade their computers or supply electronics because a bunch of people wanted to mine Bitcoin. Those people can
drove the prices of graphics card up by a whole digit.
You can't find them, and the ones you can find suck, and they're too expensive.
Yep.
And like if the company didn't already have a computer here for me to borrow and take home, I just wouldn't have a computer right now.
Yeah.
It's rough. So hopefully, I know Nvidia is at least trying to put data mine capping or some sort of like restriction on the use of the card, which I'm sure people will just be able to
Yeah,
jailbreak, but at least it's a step that they have to...
That sucks too, though, because for those of us who render things using the graphics card and use that extra computing power, we get fucked. And when, like, we need that for our job.
Yeah, you need to be able to overclock it.
Yeah.
But I don't want to get too stuck on that. I will say, one of my favorite parts about Integrate and it being on the PS5, they finally fixed that fucking door. Thank God.
Which door?
It's in the game, and this really bothered me because it killed a really cool cutscene for me, where the door on Cloud's apartment looks like absolute...
Oh yeah, it does, because it's like the only door you can interact with.
It did. They finally fixed that door. It no longer looks like shit.
Because you can't interact with it in Integrate.
Well, no. In the upgrade that they did for
gotcha.
Yeah,
I haven't gone back and replayed the game.
They just fixed whatever glitch was going on.
Like it wasn't loading the texture or some shit, and it looked really awful.
I somehow I missed it, so like I got to live in blissful ignorance.
It killed the cutscene for me where like he has that dream about Sephiroth. It's a really cool scene, but all I can do is like look at the door in the background with its like fucking 5-pixel handle, and I was like, this...
It's a callback to the original Final Fantasy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, which is weird, because the rest of the game, 99% of that game looks gorgeous. But then during this one scene, I'm like, what is up with that door?
Yeah, it was always kind of weird. One game that I have really been enjoying this year that came out this year, it's from the guys that made No Way Out and A Tale of Two Brothers. It Takes Two. I've been playing that with Caitlin. It is strictly a co-op game.
Wait, is that the one with the two prisoners?
That was No Way Out. No Way Out is the one with two prisoners. This is the one.
These people are really, really invested in like
the co-op. You can either play it on couch or over the internet, thankfully. But the concept of this one is a girl's parents are about to split up and getting a divorce, and somehow the girl is. I don't know. Somehow some magic happens and they turn into doll facsimiles of themselves that the daughter made, and in order to figure out how to get their bodies back, they need to figure out how to work together. And it's been really cute. There are some really cool set pieces. They find ways to make the very limited platforming gaming mechanics that are in it very different in each level. Like one level, each of you will have one half of a magnet and you'll have to like figure out how to push and pull certain things. Another part, one of you can stop time, the other one can clone themselves and like teleport back to that clone. So you have to like solve puzzles like that. They have very cool puzzles just based off of adding little tiny mechanics to the game. And just to sell it to anybody that may be thinking about playing it with somebody, there is a section where one of you has to fly a plane while the other one has to play a Street Fighter clone while fighting a squirrel on top of that plane. And it is magical. It is an amazing, really cool, unique game with replayability, because if you go back and you play through as the other character, now you're playing with the other side of those mechanics. It's actually one of those games that I'm very excited to see if it shows up at one of the Games Done Quick events, because it looks like it would be a really cool co-op speed run, which you don't get a lot of.
That reminds me that Psychonauts 2 is coming out soon, actually.
Yeah, in August, I think.
Yeah, Psychonauts 2, I really, really hope is good.
I hope so.
And that's somebody who really liked number one, but who...
I was also in middle school when the first one came out, so...
Yeah, also looking at it, the first one's a little janky. Just a little janky.
All platformers, platformers except Mario age a little poorly.
I have never played Psychonauts, so I'm just sort of...
Oh, Psychonauts is really, really good.
I have it on Steam, I just haven't actually played it.
Yeah, I honestly, I would highly recommend it. It's incredibly well written. Amazingly acted, got some really great level design.
I am one of the people who defends Brutal Legend, so...
Yeah, you'd probably really like this then. Brutal Legend is just one of those unfortunate games that got marketed poorly.
That was really good,
It was! Brutal Legend was great!
I love Brutal Legend.
I chose the option where he cursed.
It's not just the fact that I look a little like Jack Black. It's the fact that if you go into the game not thinking that it's going to be a action platformer, but realizing that it's a bizarre, bizarre real-time strategy game where you play as the cursor.
Yeah, and I already liked part of it for me. Like I didn't know what to expect going into the game, And so when I didn't see any marketing really. So I just played it, and it's like, oh, it's an RTS. I already liked RTSs, so I was just into it.
Since I knew, I didn't know about the RTS thing going into it, I was kind of taken off guard a little, but after I gave it a chance and played through it, I ended up really enjoying it. It has a kick-ass soundtrack. I love the world building.
A world just based off of heavy metal albums.
Yeah,
Is
heavy
just
metal
great.
albums where you're fighting all the other genres of rock and roll.
It has Lenny and Ozzy.
I think the thing that really just threw everybody off is that heavy metal and RTS.
That's the kind of
that's just such a weird combination that
that's what
Two
you,
great
that's
tastes
what-
that go great together.
It's
as
what
far as I can say.
it's what you get from Double Fine, Paul Schaefer, man. I mean,
And it also has a little bit of like open world stuff too, which is also kind of weird. But
yeah,
and beat 'em up.
It's bizarre because, like I said, you're playing as the cursor in an RTS, but you're also kind of like the Dynasty Warriors general as the cursor.
Yeah.
So you're walking around with the axe like, "Hey, go over there!"
Yeah, and they're building around like the RTS like war is you're making a show. Mm-hmm. You're the roadie.
It's an amp versus amp band battle.
Yeah,
every level.
Yeah, like you're essentially the stage manager of this rock show that's also a war.
Mm-hmm. It is very underappreciated.
I love
it. But if you like that, then I think you will like Psychonauts. It feels very much like a very solid platformer of a golden era Nickelodeon cartoon.
All right.
Okay. Oh, I have TV shows I want to recommend to people.
Yes.
That people don't seem to be watching as much as they should. And the reason they're not is because they are on Apple TV Plus, which
that's
is
a reason that I have not watched.
It's a terrible platform, but it's very cheap and worth it for a month to like just binge these shows. People need to be watching Central Park, which I've talked about before. Mm-hmm. Like Nick, you'd love all three of these shows actually. Central Park, Mythic Quest, which is the Rob McElhenney video game.
I have heard
studio.
mixed things on that one from people that I trust. So like some of them like it, some of them are like, eh.
I think it's great.
Okay.
Especially like if you get to episode 5, you'll be like, oh shit, this kind of show.
Okay.
And then Ted Lasso is just if you want a show that you watch and you just fucking feel good. Like, it just makes you happy.
I just finished watching through all 3 seasons of Ozark, so I could use a little feel good. Ozark's really good, though.
Yeah, Ted Lasso is about to get a season 2 in this month. In season 1, just you come out of it. It's not like even that like only good things happen in the show, but it just has such a positive energy, and it's like fuck, we need more shows that just like unironically want to make you happy.
I mean, I can agree to that to a certain extent.
Yeah. Last time I think I had one of those was I ended up binging The Good Place over quarantine.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, The Good Place.
It like Ted Lasso is a show that like it stars Jason Sudeikis as a character that he played to like promote like some soccer, like football stuff in England, and they just turned that into a show of like a American football coach teaches is a coach of a football club, like a professional one in England.
Oh.
And it's just, and the character he plays in the show is just so kind and like he's folksy in a way that's like nice and
Endearing.
and endearing and not Republican, to be frank.
They have kind of taken the word folksy.
Yeah, but like he's very like progressive as well, so it's not weird. And they end up making a show where like bad things happen to people. But like they take it on the chin and they keep going and it makes you feel like, you know what? Yeah, this is a great way to live your life. What a great attitude this show has, and it wants you to just be happy and care about people.
If eventually I get around to subscribing to Apple TV for a month, which, man, I don't have a single Apple product. That would be the only Apple thing I have outside of stock, I think.
Luckily, they have added themselves to most streaming things.
Yeah, like Roku and whatever.
Yeah, like even Android. They even
It's
have
like,
themselves.
please?
Yeah, and like it got on Amazon devices now, so like you can actually do shit.
If I can access it through Amazon Prime, like just add it on to that,
You can't do it that way.
Well, maybe eventually. I don't know.
But you can get the app on your Fire Stick or whatever.
Okay. Well, a solid thing to check out. Any shows that you've been binging and outside of the Marvel ones that have just been coming?
This isn't 2021, but have been watching through Solar Opposites.
Yo, same.
It's a good show.
It's fun.
It's
It's
fuck-
actually everything I want Rick and Morty to have been.
It's just way more improv Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
But they do it.
It's all Royal and Rick and Morty.
Yeah, it just feels.
I will say I've only finished the first season and like 1 or 2 episodes of season 2, but I cannot fucking believe the C plot of that show became the best part of it. There's like
the wall.
The wall.
Yeah.
I don't want to spoil it. Like if you guys haven't seen Solar Opposites at home,
Just go watch it. It's a genuinely good show.
it is genuinely good.
It looks like it's just bargain barrel Rick and Morty in from the trailers and shit.
It's way better than that. It's way better than that.
It's its own thing.
As somebody who loves, who really got into American Dad, after its like second or third season, it got really good. This is American Dad to Rick and Morty's Family Guy. It is made by the same guy, but it is a vastly different show with different goals and different like ideas, and it is.
There's no involvement from Dan Harmon, so like
Yeah.
there's your big difference
Yeah.
maker. This
There
is
is-
all
there is-
Roiland's chaos.
Yeah, there is a like more structured writer who's
Mm-hmm.
there with him, co-writing with him on that show. But honestly, it seems like Harmon and Roiland kind of got burned out of Rick and Morty and might have done things.
Although,
away
from what I've seen of season 5 so far, it's been, like I've only been able to see in the first episode because I don't have cable. But I thought that first episode was really strong.
First 2 episodes. The second episode for me is actually even stronger than the first one.
Really? Damn, I'm gonna have to find a way to watch that.
I've said this before. The second episode of season 5 is a season finale level episode.
Okay.
It is maybe an earlier season, like season 1, but still absolutely could have been the season finale of season 1. For season 5, it still feels like, oh my god, this is your second episode of the season? Okay. See episode 3 though? Like episode 3 feels like a season 1 episode in the worst way. I'll say that.
I like most of season 1's episodes.
Yeah, but I feel like it's kind of evolved.
Yeah, sometimes
since
you don't
then.
want you don't want to go back.
This is the one where Morty ends up dating the Captain Planet facsimile.
Yeah.
Right?
And the fact that they made it an immediate parody of that, to me, felt a little cheap. The fact that they went whole hog into making it a full-on parody of Captain Planet.
Yeah, even in like their Avengers parody episode, they didn't really actually parody specific Avengers.
Yeah.
They kind of mixed it up.
And honestly, I'm going to be frank. Rick and Morty is at its worst when it's trying to actively, aggressively parody something.
I think it's.
I think it's not at its best. I wouldn't say worst.
Yeah, you're gonna get some episodes that are kind of lulls in general, but I think it's worth it just for the fact that they're going to experiment and just try new things. Because since they got that big contract from Adult Swim, they have like 70-something episodes to fill. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
gotta find a
7
way.
seasons, I believe. So.
I will say it's still funny. It's still like I watched it with my husband. We laughed. We found, especially there's a scene with seals that we fucking lost our shit at. But it feels a little bit too. Remember this thing from your childhood? We're gonna fuck it up. And it's like, okay.
That sounds a lot like MODOK in general, which is a show that I watched through and enjoyed.
See, I only saw I've seen the first 3 episodes. I hear MODOK gets better.
It's if you don't like it by episode 3, you're probably not going to.
Now I'm trying.
Damn.
No. Well, no, I heard like the 4th episode is actually like the real.
There's like some episode
point.
at a bar that people say is like.
Yeah. That I think that is the 4th episode. But if you're not into the feel of the show by episode 3, it's.
I was told it feels kind of like Venture Brothers, and that's how like it's been kind of sold to me.
Kinda, yeah. Where you
and
have
I
this
love
very
Venture
where
Brothers.
you have this sort of like pathetic villain that's trying to get back to his glory.
And that actually actively frustrates me because the show doesn't have another focal point. So the majority of the show so far has been a guy who's unlikable.
So it's like if Venture Brothers was only about the Monarch in early seasons.
If it was only about the Monarch or literally only about Rusty, and Rusty was at his worst. Because
Gotcha.
Rusty at his best is actually very enjoyable to watch all on his own. At his worst, you want him to die.
Right.
And that's what MODOK feels like. It feels like Rusty Venture at his worst, and he is the focal point of the show.
at his orphan using.
Yes.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Even Orphan using Rusty, at the very least, he was doing something right there. In terms of being able to actually be competent. Yes, it was evil, it was wrong, but at least he made something that worked. With MODOK, you wonder what?
Yeah,
Just
like
die.
every now and again he'll like show off that he has this invention, and it's like, okay, so you're able to make that, but you like you literally created a trash can that is a portal to Asgard for you to just shit on Thor and like throw shit at his generals, but you can't And I guess that's kind of like really the point of the show. It's just he doesn't know how to focus his energies because he's depressed.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of the message. I mean, it's Patton Oswalt, so.
It mostly just kind of comes off as he is completely incompetent, and it's not very fun to watch. It's not fun to watch a guy fail. Well, not upwards, sideways, basically.
I will say, I think the only reason Marvel canceled most of the Hulu shows that were going to be made. Once they were like, oh, we have Disney Plus, Feige can actually do the things he wants to do now.
Yeah, but they kept
and
MODOK
cut
because
Jeff Loeb and the others out of the situation.
But they kept MODOK because it was so far along in production, and they weren't going to do anything with it.
They're not going to use MODOK. They're not using MODOK in any of the movie shit because look at him.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a big reason that Patton Oswalt really fits for the character. He actually wrote a comic, I think he co-wrote a comic for MODOK called Head Games some years ago. Which he has a genuine
Love
adoration for this B-level character. I compare MODOK,
man.
Yeah, I compare MODOK to Harley Quinn. Maybe not in terms of how good. I think Harley Quinn is the better show, but MODOK is very much that. Let's take these B characters, B and C characters from the Marvel canon that they're never going to want to do anything with. And let's just make a stupid comedy show out of them with a little bit of heart in it.
Which I don't mind. I do think, does it have the same problem as Harley Quinn, where sometimes you kind of wish the show would just be comfortable slowing down? Because I feel that with Harley Quinn, where I'm guys, I'd be in on this. Just slow down a little bit. You don't have to make me laugh all the time.
Actually,
On one hand, yes. On the other hand, they make this season work. Like you say, he fails sideways. By the end of the season, he actually ends up pretty fucking high up. So,
and again, I'm going off the first 3 episodes. But honestly, I'm gonna be frank. If in your first 3 episodes you don't give me a reason to give a shit about your main character, that's your fault. That's your problem.
Yeah.
I'm a guy who will give a couple episodes to almost any show that I think has an interesting premise to see if it can catch me. And that's why, I'm gonna watch episode 4, but damn, guys,
I think the way Patton Oswalt plays it off and the way the show plays it off, it does give you a genuine sense for the actual character of what MODOK is. So I think that, granted, this is my only exposure outside of the Ultimate Alliance games and Marvel vs. Capcom 3. So where I chose MODOK just to be a troll because he has amazing range.
Right.
But yeah, it is something that's going to be very hit or miss for a lot of people. For me, I enjoyed it.
I think if you're somebody who doesn't tune into these for character-driven stuff at all, I think if you're just here for some of the gags and the Marvel, and you're a Marvel fan and you're looking for some humor, I think it does work. But maybe it's the fact that I have watched as much as I have, and I am as old as I am. I am kind of in a place where any comedy that I watch nowadays, I want it to say something that actually connects with me. Otherwise, I get kind of I can kind of just fall away from it pretty easily.
It has some pretty fun concept episodes, I'll say that.
I'm just going to assume Venture Brothers ruined every other comedy show for you because it's so good.
As a guy who literally just... I'm watching the last season of Venture Brothers, next month.
You'll be very happy with it.
I really liked all of Venture Brothers. The first 2 seasons are rocky, but damn, Venture Brothers is fucking good.
It ruins all other comedy shows.
It does make it a bit difficult because it is exceptionally good about changing its status quo, investing you in its characters, telling really clever multi-layer jokes, creating an overarching lore that only becomes more interesting the longer it goes on.
Characters with growing nuance, but they're also always the characters you like the entire time, the same people.
Yeah.
Are you saying home videos didn't do the exact same thing?
I've never seen that.
You mean home movies?
Home movies?
Yeah, home movies is great. I love a lot of Brendan Small stuff. I love.
I will say this: Bob's Burgers is still Bob's Burgers is this generation's The Simpsons.
It's the reason I still have Hulu.
Honestly, I haven't caught up on the latest season, mostly just because I've been busy with other things. And I have a bad problem, especially during the pandemic. It is hard for me to watch something without doing something else in the background. Like, I will play a game while I watch a lot of my entertainment. I don't want to do that with Bob's Burgers because I really fucking like it, and I want to actually give it my attention.
Again, watch Central Park.
Man, you want me to give Apple money? I know it's not too much, but fuck Apple.
Why?
It's worth it for Central
Why?
Park.
I mean, there's plenty. I guess there's plenty of reasons for any big tech
There's
company.
no
but you're not
ethical
getting
consumption under capitalism.
Consume!
I know.
Consume, consumer!
And I'm already giving my fucking money to Disney, who's
Consume!
arguably way worse than Apple.
But what have you guys been consuming? We're only halfway through this year, and we got about, I don't know, another 6 months until it's 2022 already.
We can't.
We can't?
Another 6 months?
Another 6 months of 2021.
Oh my god.
But hey, we'll get there, and we'll be there along the way. Let us know what you've been watching in the comments below, and thank you for joining us live for those of you who tune in to twitch.tv/stream4star every other Wednesday. This has been the Talkcast Podshow, and we will catch you guys next time.
Consume.
Consume.
Consume, everyone.
Happy consuming.